You know, as humans, we are hardwired against change. That means in an organization, before you even begin an organizational change, you're already at a deficit. Well, I want to give you 5 ways you can ensure a successful organizational change before you even begin. Now, if this is your first time to the channel, I want to welcome you. I am Dr. David Glover, and it is my mission and my job to share moments that inspire holistic leadership and self-development. So if you have a minute, click the subscribe button. Don't forget to click the bell so that you're notified every time a new video comes out. Hello and welcome. Let's get right into it. I'm excited for this subject. This is my passion. This is something I love to do, and I've had a lot of experience, good and bad, with it. So it's definitely something that I want to be able to share with you. So let's jump right in. Now, change is inevitable. We cannot get away from it, but our minds are hardwired against it. We do not like change. So if you can prepare for it, if you can do some things before change happens, it will give you a less arduous and tedious road while going through the change, and the output will be much more successful. So I want to give you 5 things that you must do before you implement a change strategy. Changes come, again, as I said, they come in all forms. It could be internal, because of internal, or because of external reasons. That is, whether it's because of the market, because of social implications, or because of technology, because of equipment that you need, or because of change in personnel and management, or also it could be just deficiencies that you're not coming up to the plumb line, so you're going to implement a change that will help secure you there. But the very first thing, and I mean it's the first thing that you have to do, you must do, it is vital and critical, otherwise it is dead in the water, is clearly define what you need to change and why. What you need to change and why. I can't tell you how many times we have spent our wheels, been in meetings after meetings, and done all type of changes, only to realize that this didn't even solve the real issue. We only looked at systemic things. We only looked at things that appeared like they were the problem, but it really wasn't the problem. And there's various tools that will help you scrub down to get to what actually is the need of change, whether that's using a root cause analysis or using the fishbone method to get, there's several of them, but you need to employ that to note why is this change necessary and what really needs to change. In organizational psychology, there's a thing called the type 2 error, which is solving the wrong problem. You don't want to solve something that is not even solving the real issue. You still have the same issue. It may just appear in a different way, when you could have spent that energy, time, money, resources on solving the correct issue. So it is vital that you do that first. I can't tell you how many times I've even been in meetings, and after 45 minutes of talking, we realize, hey, that's not even an issue. The real issue is this. Now, you want to take that time before you start, because I've also been where the whole change has happened. We have done all this resource and didn't solve the problem. Don't let that be your testimony. Don't let that be your company. Don't let that be your team. So it'll also help you, and this is in a different video, but it'll also help you put up a sense of urgency. So you get more buy-in, which reduces the resistance in change. It mitigates change resistance. So if you really create the communication around what we're changing and why this is critical, why this is detrimental, how this is going to help enable all of us, then everybody will have the feel that, yes, we need to grit our teeth and put all hands on deck, okay? Number 2, we want to be able to take a change readiness assessment. Because just because a change needs to happen, are we at a place where it can happen now, where we can implement this now? When you're building the sense of urgency, that'll all help go into your change readiness, getting the stakeholders on board. Are they on board? Do we have the resources? Because you do not want to get into the thick of a change and then not have what you need to complete it. There's nothing worse, nothing more depleting of energy and momentum and motivation than getting halfway done and you're not able to fulfill the obligation. So make sure that you have all of the resources, all of the money, all of the commitment, all of the time, all of the employees, whatever that list, create a list of what is all going to be, count up the cost, what will be needed, and make sure that you can sustain this change implementation. Okay. Number 3, determine impacts and how they affect others. What would this look like? Are you just making these changes because that's the trend, because the next business is doing it? Does it align with your core values and your platforms that you stand for, your mission statement and your vision? Are we really doing what we need to do culturally? Who will be the most receptive of these changes? Who will be the most resistant of these changes? Sometimes you can pair them together. A strategy, if we do determine that this change needs to happen and we identify that this area is going to be highly resistant to the change and this area is going to be most receptive to it, then why not think about a collaboration where we can have a roundtable so that they can have a facilitator and work it out, get them on their team, reduce, you may not be able to alleviate all the resistance, but you can at least resist it to make it a little bit better, right? So know what areas, how is this impacting, who is this affecting, how will my day-to-day operation look after this change, what will it look like during the change? You have to take all of that into consideration. Otherwise, you can come into some hurdles and hindrances that you did not foresee, some risk that you did not account for, and it could negatively impact the whole of the job, the whole of the implementation. So you want to be able to look at those things and take account of those things. The next thing, number 4, develop a communication strategy. This is crucial because no one wants to feel that they were left out, that they found out. I have been in Fortune 500 corporations doing consulting or doing, actually working in my, corporate years, that you sit there and you are amazed at, oh, I forgot to tell you, or the last minute things, or the things that you're just completely unaware of, and it comes up and now you have a new task or you have a new report to, or it makes you feel belittled. It makes you feel less than. It does not add value to you. So making sure that number 1, that protocols, whoever you are to report to, or whoever needs to know because they're responsible for that area, they're the repository of whatever area it may be, using that, gauging that, making a communication strategy. What also is the best method? Because some things are good in an email, but other things need to be a face-to-face, one-on-one, and then some things need to be group, and then something. So you have to use all of those different channels and methods. What works? What does one person actually like? Because maybe it can be in a group, but this one person who is a strong influencer need that one-on-one will work better, would yield better results. You need to employ that, but you need to know that. And you need to know that before, if at all possible. Sometimes you learn as you go, but do your work. Say, well, what type of communication do you like? Send out just a little survey. Ask the questions. Make them feel like their voice is counted. It will greatly reduce the combativeness, and they'll be more willing to even find resources that you don't have access to find networkers or give creativity or to spin their wheels a little harder if you include their voice. So you want to commit to make a communication strategy. You want to have how these communications will go on. You also need to know where does feedback come from? Who manages that? Where does that look like? What is that? And I kind of combined 4 and 5 because 5 is communication. So I kind of, they're both. So we're going to make them 4 and 5 together. But you need to know feedback. Where do we, if you're doing beta testing or if you're rolling out in small incremental rollouts, depending on how big the change is, you want to be able to get that feedback, but you want that feedback to inform you for future references. You want to does it need to be tweaked? Is there something we forgot? Is there something that is not working? Whether you're talking to your business analyst or you're talking to the actual person that's working day to day, where do they send that so that we can diminish the time and that elapses from the time that we identify a problem to the resolve of the problem? Is it something that's permanent? Have we, IT and all those people, those different working, moving components, you want to know what's happening. If it's just a shopper, how do they feel about the new culture, the new look, the new whatever you've changed? You want to get feedback because it is the only quantifiable way that you can see how this has impacted. In some cases, if it's a new system, you can see by production whether that happens. But if it's on a soft scale, a new look, a new culture, a new manager, you're going to rely on feedback from those who are involved to be able to make those decisions. So now these are the things that you want to make sure you do before you get started, before you even implement or start the implementation of change. You want to make sure all of these areas are done. Now, if you like this video, if this was helpful to you, I want to hear from you. I want you to comment down beneath, and I want you to like. Please click subscribe if you have not already subscribed. Click on the bell so that you're notified every time we put out a video, and this is put out weekly. I put out new content to help leaders and to help you in your self-development. So I look forward to you till next time. Remain blessed, remain safe.